And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Church with a 2-Drink Minimum.
All right. Everybody ready? We're going to sing. Hey, Lena.
Can I get an A human?
A human.
Woo!
Welcome to Church with a 2-Drink Minimum. I'm your favorite anarchist preacher, and this is the love of my life, Reverend Yolanda.
Hi. Oh, hi, everybody.
And we're not here.
We're actually in Vermont today, and we had so much to share that we decided to go ahead and pre-record this event for you because it's a great day in A Course in Miracles.
I know.
Oh my goodness. We have
Guess whose favorite lesson is today?
Excited about the lesson today. So, before we get to everything, let's do
Because there's everything.
our sing-along.
I know.
And you know it. So, here we go. Let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
Can't change
You
me.
can't change me.
Can't change.
Because you can't change God.
So let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
And you and me.
We'll live in peace.
We live in peace.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know
what anything is for.
what anything is for.
Unless I listen to that still small voice.
That still small voice
Telling me this simple truth.
this simple truth.
That everything is for my good.
Everything is for my good, y'all.
So let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
You can't change.
Because you can't change God.
So let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
And you and me.
We'll live in peace.
We live in peace.
I'm not this body.
I'm not this body
that you see.
that you see.
I am as God.
I am as God
created me.
She created me.
And we are all one family.
One family.
And it's possible.
Yes, it's possible.
To live in peace.
It's possible to live in peace, y'all.
So let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
You can't change.
Because you can't change God.
So let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
You and me.
We'll live in peace.
We live in peace.
Kumbaya.
Sunday isn't complete without a kumbaya. I always say.
That. Wow. Lesson 31. I am not the victim of the world I see. Today's idea is the introduction to your declaration of release. Ha ha! The idea should be applied to both the world you see without and the world you see within. Look about you slowly while repeating the idea, I am not the victim of the world I see, 2 or 3 times. Then close your eyes and apply the same idea, I am not the victim of the world I see, to your inner world. You will escape from both together, for the inner is the cause of the outer. As you survey your inner world, merely let whatever thoughts cross your mind come into your awareness, each to be considered for a moment, and then replaced by the next. Try not to establish any kind of hierarchy among them. Watch them come, watch them go, as dispassionately as possible. Do not dwell on anyone in particular, but try to let the stream just move on evenly and calmly without any special investment on your part as you sit and quietly watch your thoughts. Repeat today's idea to yourself as often as you care to, but with no sense of hurry. So let's repeat this together. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. And so it is. Wow. So it reminds me of an ancient teaching from the Upanishads that says, you are what your driving desire is.
Oh, yeah.
And as your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. And as your deed is, so is your destiny. Imagine a world of divine inspiration, where we all play a part in creation. This is that world. You are the one who makes hell or heaven. You are Lord, I am. You are what your driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny.
Hey, human!
Mm. Wow, I'm really interested in the topic today. Error and the ego?
I think it's Error of the Ego. Yes,
Error and the
we
ego.
are on
Ah.
chapter 3. So get that second drink, okay? Get that second drink, and we're gonna dive into chapter 3.
Mm.
Chapter 3 is called The Innocent Perception.
Mm.
Now, I'll remind you that the first 5 chapters of the Course in Miracles is really about describing the world as it really is. The
Mhm.
first chapter is all about miracles, right?
Mhm.
Some of the things that I like that she says in the first chapter is, if miracles aren't happening,
Something's wrong.
something's wrong, right? And it's miracles are your inheritance.
Right.
You know, that
Right.
they should be happening. They're normal and they're natural.
Mhm.
And she's trying to pull this preciousness out of the idea of a miracle,
Right.
because she's speaking to us in the Western world as like Jesus did miracles, gurus do miracles.
Right.
You know, we can't do miracles
Right.
because we're not as special, or we weren't
Yes.
we weren't born of a virgin, right? Was your mother a virgin? Jesus' mother was a virgin.
There's a
She
great
was.
TV show about that called Jane the Virgin.
And
It's
we do
really
rec-
funny.
it's very, very funny.
really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
But so she's talking to us because she understands us. The Course in Miracles is directed to us as Western people.
Right.
You know, for European, generally speaking, Western, Judeo-Christian Islamic,
Mhm.
is that, or what often is called the children of the book. So
Mhm.
she's assuming, or she's the audience that she's speaking to, or the audience for A Course in Miracles is the Western mind.
Right.
you know?
Right.
Right.
Which is good.
So, and the chapter, in chapter 3 is about the big mistake. Separation.
Right.
Right. We think the world is one way, or innocent perception is what it's called, but we think the world is one way when it's actually a different way.
Mhm.
And she tries to get us to understand how that way is,
Mhm.
but she does it in a really unusual way. She asks us to look at what's going wrong.
Interesting. She wants us to see what's going
Be honest
wrong.
that you're not happy. Be honest that you don't know. Be honest that your decisions are making you upset or unhappy. We got in AA and stuff. They say, or in the 12 step, they say, "My best thinking got me here."
Right.
So,
right.
what kind of thinking are we employing when we end up suffering?
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
the ego. So she's really talking about in the Innocent Perception, especially in chapter 4.
It's chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Sorry.
Section 4.
Section. Yeah. There you go. I have her around for a reason. She can read. So, we're going to talk about what the error has to do with ego, or making mistakes, or being able to recognize our mistakes, and the nature of the ego and how that plays into it.
Mhm.
So would you read
Sure.
the highlighted parts?
Let me
Parts
pull
first,
my
and we're gonna
glasses.
dive in.
Okay, we're gonna highlight a few things in the paragraphs. So the first paragraph: the abilities you now possess are only shadows of your real strength. You are also incapable of knowledge because you still perceive lovelessly. That's an odd word, lovelessly, because you still perceive lovelessly. Okay. Then spirit has no levels, and all conflict arises from the concept of levels.
Isn't that interesting? All
Mhm.
concept
Mm-hmm.
arise.
All
or all
conflict
arise.
arises from the concept of levels. Somebody being higher than
Yeah.
me, or something
Or
like that.
worth more, or having more inherent value, hierarchies,
Mhm.
right? And all that really is preference,
Mm.
right? We think our preferences are true, are real, are immutable,
Yeah.
right? They're not.
Yeah.
Few of us, she says in this first paragraph, the first sentence is, we only exist, we only experience a shadow of our real strength.
Hmm.
So she's giving us the idea that few of us live into the full power that we possess.
Mm.
Do you want to live into your full power? Few of us live into the full power we possess because we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
We're making errors and listening to bad advice, right?
Yeah.
So this power that she talks about is the result of a unified intention.
Meaning what?
We actually are, because God is one, and we're a part of God. God's will is our will.
Right.
So things are real because there's a unified intention. And when we join together and recognize the one will, we have a sharp impact on the world, a sharper impact. Put it to you this way:
Okay.
the more people that believe an idea, the more effective it becomes.
That's right. No matter what the idea is.
Doesn't matter what the idea
Right.
is.
Got it.
Power is the result of a unified intention.
Okay, now I understand what you mean by that. Okay.
So we access our power through our unified intention, and you can unify with a bad idea too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We
certainly have seen that in 2020.
I know, and I think you could probably think of an example.
Right.
2021.
But let's not go there. Well, 2021, yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So,
January 6th, 2021. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
No, we access our power through our unified intention. And this perception means seeing in levels and degrees. So that's not unified. Right?
Okay.
So if you believe that, everything's chopped up, but because that's what the ego does, because it thinks that the world is more understandable and manageable that way if we chop it up.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to chop it up into you and me and dogs and trees and butterflies and up and down and this planet and that. We chop it all up. It's actually, the Course offers us the idea that this is all one thing. We're one thing. There are no levels in reality. There aren't any levels in reality, because reality is just one thing. One thing. And in the clarification of terms, she calls it the one thing is that in reality is the face of God, or reality is the face of God. So it's in the world is all living form is the face of Christ.
Yes, that's
we
awesome.
do not know our gifts, do we? She says, do you? So why would we be judging and need to chop things up? Because we don't know our gifts, and we don't even know really how to use them as part of our self-knowledge that we're seeking. We do not know our gifts, much less how to use them, and our gifts and our talents bring the knowledge. This unified intention that we're talking about brings knowledge. Don't you? Because the idea is to find out who we are, to correct the error of separation. To correct the error of separation means that we have to admit that we want to know God. And if you can admit or look into or pursue the knowledge of God, I want to know who God is, you'll begin with finding out who you are. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, okay. So a deeper inquiry into who you are
leads
brings you into the awareness of God, the knowledge of God. Okay.
And that's done through your talents.
Okay.
What you're good at and what you want to do anyway, already, right? Our gifts and our talents bring us knowledge. It's how we experience reality.
I just clicked with that because I often say to myself, my music and my art is a spiritual path, is my spiritual path. So
because that's your practice.
Yeah, because that is my main practice.
What you do brings you knowledge.
Right.
And fulfillment and happiness.
Of God.
Of reality.
Of reality, yeah.
So our gifts, so own your talent. That's a really good thing.
That is a good thing.
Your
Yeah.
talents are where your power lies. It's
Yeah.
where it's the key to the kingdom.
Mhm.
We can join with what is real. We can join with this power. You know why? Because it's us.
Yay.
It's you and me. Together, we can access power.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, can you read the next two little pieces there?
Okay, next paragraph. Consciousness, the level of perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation. Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. Now that's interesting. Consciousness, like when I think of the word consciousness, I'm just thinking of like, I'm aware of this and
Consciousness
this
and
is
awareness
here,
and
aware,
things like
I'm aware of this over here, and my consciousness that helps me.
But you can be aware of wrong. You can be aware of. Or you can call it awareness to say I can see fear, but that you can see things that aren't there. Awareness implies that you can see things that aren't there, right?
Okay.
Well, what she's offering, consciousness is the way she's defining it here, is at the level of perception. Okay,
right.
Because think about it this way. Think about it developmentally. The consciousness of a 5-year-old versus the consciousness of a 18-year-old versus the consciousness of a 28-year-old or a 58-year-old like me. Consciousness is just a level of perception. It's sort of the field where all of it exists in. Consciousness, correctly identified, is the domain of the ego. It's in the world. It's a physical thing. Consciousness, as it's defined in A Course in Miracles, has a beginning and a middle and an end.
Okay.
And it requires a body and an ego to exist. It's our perceptions of the differences or how we experience the squishy world and our bodies and things like that. The consciousness is the field in which all of that exists in. She's offering us that idea. It's a way to understand where she's about to place error and where she's about to place ego. So she introduces this to the idea of this, and she says, look, if you're on this path, you really want to admit we need to come to the conclusion that we want to know who we are.
Right.
And to know who you are, we have to own our own consciousness, and that we're making choices as us to either pursue knowledge or not. Right? And we're doing it in the real world. We're making this moment by moment decision to pursue knowledge or not. The mind perceives only. It cannot create. The mind is just a perception mechanism.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't create. It's an impression, like like a relief, right, or a memory from bed.
Right. Well, I get a little confused sometimes when she uses the word mind, because sometimes she uses it in a greater
she
sense.
Uses it like a
sometimes,
split mind.
Well, let me identify what my confusion is. The mind, you say the mind perceives, it cannot create, but that sounds like you're talking about the brain. Do you see what I mean?
The brain would be the physical apparatus, like a lens on a camera.
Okay. So you're talking about here, when you say use the word mind, what are you speaking of?
There's only one mind.
You're speaking of the one mind. Okay, but if the one mind perceives, why can't it create?
Because it doesn't live.
Oh.
It's not alive. It has a beginning and middle end like consciousness does, according to the cosmology of A Course in Miracles.
Oh.
The mind is...
The one mind that we all share.
Yes.
Has a beginning and a middle and
right, because there might not always be humans or living things, or what we are, or
that is an aha moment for me.
Oh, good.
No, it is, because sometimes I get really confused about how she's using the word mind and what that actually means.
Mind is unified because God's unified.
Right.
But mind is how we, in consciousness, is how we interface. It's like this. It's like interface with God.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
So this consciousness, so we got the mind perceives, and it doesn't create like a camera. It just captures the moment. Right. consciousness is the collection of active beliefs that shape our perception. And our perception and everything is we're using mind to do all of that.
Okay.
To create this perception and to know what a cat is and to know, all this other stuff, to know the world and our place in it and recognize things. That's mind.
Using consciousness.
Not using consciousness, yes.
Okay.
And it shapes our perception. I know.
It's
Just
beginning
the way
to
she
fall into
talks about
place. I know it is.
We have to back up a little
yeah.
bit before we even get to error because she has to set this up so we can identify, we can see the problem in our own lives.
Right.
She's asking us to consider these things because I'm going to ask you to look at your own mind and look at your own understanding of how you interface with the world and God.
Yeah.
So consciousness is the collection of active beliefs that shape our consciousness. Our sense of self is pre-shaped by others in the past. We have to know this, right?
We do
your
know
trauma
this.
and
Yeah.
your education.
Well, the first 7 years of our lives shapes the rest of our lives. Yeah.
Our sense of ourself is pre-shaped by others and ourselves in this collaborative dance we do as children. And so many of us don't even consider that there might be an alternative. Because not everybody was raised like you.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
There are different cultures. There are people that don't have Western minds.
Right.
Right?
Guess what?
I know. We don't even consider that there's an alternative. So
Right.
so one of the first things she says is, okay, you have a mind and you interface with God. Let's. And we're in consciousness. We're pursuing knowledge. So, are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to learn something new? Do you have an open mind? Do you have that beginner's mind? Are you willing to consider something that you haven't considered? How we use and interact with our consciousness determines our experience. Because you could learn new things. Surely you could learn new things.
Right.
We're learning that around here. We're learning to forgive faster, to pray quicker, to ask for forgiveness or to ask for help, or we make mistakes and quicker. That turnaround time is getting better. I hope for us. We use and interact our consciousness to determine our experience. So we're in God. Looking at the world, things that decay, we're using the mind to aid our perception, but this perception is flawed because we're using our own judgment, the commander's judgment about how it should be and how it should go. So read the next bit.
Okay, the next paragraph.
Oops.
The ego is the questioning aspect of the post-separation self.
I know, she's so clinical. She gets so clinical sometimes.
She's a psychologist. Okay, the ego is the questioning aspect of the post-separation self, which was made rather than created. Here's another thing that she does that is sort of hard to understand sometimes. Make versus creation.
We make things. What is created is real.
Is real, and that's God. Okay. It is capable, the ego, it is capable of asking questions, but not of perceiving meaningful answers.
The key word in there is meaningful.
Meaningful, yeah. Okay. It is necessarily uncertain about what it is.
The ego.
The ego is. You have every reason to feel afraid as you perceive yourself.
Right.
That is why you must eventually choose to heal the separation.
If you really see
Yeah.
it, if you see it, because a lot of us have to come out of that sense of a horrible self-image.
Fear, yeah.
Right? Have you ever battled with your self-image?
Well, yeah, and been afraid of myself and what I'm gonna do,
or what I even want, or
what,
or I can't even allow myself to, coming out of the closet is like that.
Yes,
right.
Is.
Gays, gays and lesbians come out of the closet. And they say, "Oh, I used to think I was a bad, horrible person or whatever, and now I'm going to own who I am, and I'm not going to make that
right."
See, it's that perception.
And then when you're trans, it's a whole nother coming out of the closet, and that can be very fearful too.
Because we have a fearful perception of
Of
ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah.
We're afraid of who we might really be,
Mhm.
and much less of discovering that and showing that to the world.
Mhm.
That can be, to show yourself to the world can be an act of courage.
Yes.
I think it
Hallelujah.
is. So, our made-up ego asks questions whose answers it can't even perceive. It's just asking questions,
Mhm.
mostly, I would say.
Mhm.
What's this? What's this? What's this? Like,
Right,
you know,
right,
like, look, what's this? Why?
Mhm.
What's going? It was never interest. It's never interested in really the answers. It just wants you to search. It just
Mhm.
wants you to go down the rabbit hole, or just
Right.
that's what it wants. It's just
Mhm.
keep busy and have an experience and go over here and do that, or like in the world I go squirrel.
Yeah.
Because I can have a really small attention span. It's just like, get triggered and move off to the ego only sees separation and difference and conflict and struggle and hierarchy.
Mhm.
The ego is a fear-prone condition. It
Right.
leans into the fear. It's
Mhm.
like scanning.
Mhm.
You got that a lizard brain, right?
Lizard.
Lizard. You got that lizard brain where it's flight, fright, or freeze.
Yeah.
Right, that's what she's talking about here. This is, and we use the ego's afraid, so we're like, we think it's us, and the ego claims to be us and claims to be our body, and that's us, and we need to escape this fear and who we think we are, and who's going to hurt us and our bodies and hurt our feelings and hurt our identities, and all that stuff has to be protected. And now we got our dukes up, man.
Mhm.
Realize that we need to realize that we did not create ourselves. Therefore, the answer to this escape from fear, this escape that she's talking about, if you know who you are, if you examine this ego, this fear-prone condition, you listen to it and all these questions that are asking, you'll eventually realize that it's outside of us.
Mhm.
This ego is an outside creation, something that we made, like our bodies. Realize that we do not create ourselves. That means essentially, like this one mind, the one world, the one creation, the one God, we're not alone.
Mhm.
We're not even alone when we're in our own inner sanctum, in our, alone, all alone, lone. You're never alone and friendless.
Mhm.
And we are not in error. We're not wrong.
Right.
God didn't get it wrong.
Right.
God doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
If you were created, and this is how you created, and these are your gifts, and this is what you like, and this is what you're good at, and this is what you look like, and if you're fat and bald like me, that's the way it's supposed to be. So
Well,
we're gonna
eat healthier this year.
We can choose to have the experience that we want. We can
Yes.
actually use mind to interact with consciousness and change our experience.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
We also create like God. When we create, it's talking about things that are real. When we expand God or expand the experience of God, we're actually creating like God. And we don't create in error.
Mm.
When we love somebody, when we care for somebody, when we seek peace, when we share knowledge, when we act in solidarity with the least of these, we are creating like God creates, because we're embracing all of us, all of the creation. And healing this belief in separation is the act of finding out who we are.
Mhm.
And the thing that's stopping us is the errors we value by listening to the voice of the ego. We like the mistakes and keep repeating the mistakes that the ego is making. This animal mind of hierarchies and avoiding pain and suffering and the being top dog or collecting social capital or whatever animals do. The animal mind. So read the next piece.
Okay. You can be right-minded, listening to the Holy Spirit, right? You can be right-minded or wrong-minded, listening to the animal brain. And even this is subject to degrees, clearly demonstrating that knowledge is not involved.
Right, your choice. The knowledge is already there.
Huh.
Knowledge isn't up to you. Knowledge wasn't created. We didn't create knowledge.
Okay.
Right?
So what? Yeah. So what she's talking about here is just your choice of who you listen to.
Uh-huh. And that's going to influence your experience.
Right. Okay.
And who you are and the knowledge of who you are is available for us to experience if you'll learn to recognize your own voice, the voice of the Holy Spirit, or the animal voice of the world
Hmm.
that's going to tell you to struggle for dominance, fight for dominance in some way. Wrong-mindedness is perceiving with the ego, of
Okay.
course.
Yeah.
Right-mindedness is perceiving with our inner one-mindedness. This is healing, and it moves us from wrong-minded thinking to right-minded thinking. And we want to be in right-minded thinking because we make better decisions, and we build the things and the containers that produce the experiences that we want, right? You plant the seeds that grow the fruit you want to eat, right? This belief in the truth of our inner nation, of our inner knowledge, is where we end up. The belief and trust in our inner knowledge of we can trust our right mind, we like the decisions we're making, we can see the direction we're going, we're creating, therefore participating in what is true and real, love and peace, joy. So, belief and trust in our own inner knowledge of who we are and our talents and our gifts, which is the way we access the wisdom to do the right thing, is where we end up. So read it.
Cool.
I know.
All right. Let's see. Perception always involves some misuse of mind. Because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. Okay, I'm beginning to get this now after however many years we've been reading this and studying it. The way she's using the word mind. So I'm going to start again. Perception always involves some misuse of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active. When it chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive.
Right?
Okay. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the service of spirit, where perception is changed.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The
Wow,
proper
I'm getting
function of
this
mind
today.
is to help you make
Yay!
a better decision.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Perception is the little limited way that we're able to perceive reality and the world using our own strength and power. You do have some strength. You do have some power. You are the child of God, and you don't beat your own heart or do your own lungs. That's yours. Nobody can take that away from you. But if we're just using our own limited body powers, our own limited animal strength and wisdom, which can be quite considerable,
Yeah, definitely.
we're using and operating a system of the ego. We're using all the great stuff that's in the mind, and the ego is using the mind to mess up the world,
right?
Our world, our perception of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a will to know. Access that. You do want to know who you are. You want to why you want to be happy. You want to be fulfilled. You want to be recognized and seen and connected and known. That's what it's all about. And we'll do that through our gifts, right? We have a will to know. And this will to know is reliable, and it leads toward our healing. When the mind joins with the one-mindedness, like this interface actually is used by what is real, it becomes really, really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And we stop perceiving up and down and hierarchies and degrees and scales of value. When we use one-mindedness, our inner knowledge, the wisdom of God, our Holy Spirit, when we use the voice of the Holy Spirit, the mind joins and is actually very, very effective, bringing us experiences that fulfill us and actually for peace and things like that.
Gosh, we certainly know that we've had that experience.
We do. All right. So
okay.
we're getting towards the end here.
Yeah. Now, this is a big section here, but let's go through it. The ability to perceive made the body possible because you must perceive something and with something.
So the body is not the problem, and it's not
Okay.
the enemy, right?
That's hilarious. Oh, that's
You
funny.
need the body in order to have a perception, in order to figure out
Mhm.
who you
Mhm.
are, so you can do the right thing and have the experiences you have in a body. Read the next
Okay. Okay. The interpretive function of perception, which is a distorted form of creation, then permits you to interpret the body as yourself in an attempt to escape from the conflict you have induced.
There's the animal brain.
Wow. Okay. Spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and this makes spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. And truth will
will.
always overcome error. This cannot be an active process of correction because, as I have already emphasized, knowledge does not do anything.
I know.
Okay. I'm getting a little confused with that
I'll
one.
explain.
Knowledge can always be remembered, never having been destroyed.
Knowledge can always be remembered, never
Mhm.
having been destroyed. You
Mhm.
can't destroy knowledge.
Right.
You cannot destroy knowledge.
But why does knowledge not do anything?
Because the fact that 2 plus 2 equals 4 is the truth, and it'll always be the truth, no matter what language or writing system that you're going to use.
Okay.
But
So it
2
just
plus 2
is.
doesn't do anything. It doesn't. You write 2 plus 2 equals 4,
Mhm.
and nothing happens. It doesn't create or not create.
It just is.
It just is. 2 plus 2 are symbols.
Right.
A 2 is a symbol, and a plus
Mhm.
is a plus.
Mhm.
It's a matter of seeing objects and creating an agreed upon
Mhm.
name for a specific collection
Okay.
of items.
Right.
That's not knowledge.
Right. Okay.
4 is 4.
That's
is
an
4
ego
is,
function because
Yes,
you're
it is.
describing.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Please learn math and please
Yeah.
be good. You'll probably need your ego in your body,
Right.
in the way the Course in Miracles puts it,
Mm-hmm.
in order to do language and cook and read
Mhm.
and shake hands, in order to drive on the right side of the road, and
Yeah.
all those things. So the ego isn't a problem, other than we believe it's us.
Right.
We believe it's true. We believe
Right.
we're the body, and we believe we're living this the dog eat dog, tooth and nail, long bloody or short and bloody lives.
Mhm, mhm.
Quote Hobbes there. But if that's who we are, we're just we're screwed.
Right.
In other words, our bodies are the perception device.
Uh-huh.
Our bodies are the perception device.
Yeah, learning device, as she
Yes,
said
a learning
earlier.
device.
Yeah.
It can be used to enforce the experience of separation, and it can be used to enforce it can be used to experience one-mindedness.
Mhm.
The ego, if we let it, will interpret and perceive separation.
Right.
The spirit knows of our power. In fact,
Mhm.
she's trying to saying, snap out of it. Your spirit, the inner knowledge, this inner wisdom that we have, doesn't experience darkness or ignorance.
Okay. Right.
It doesn't perceive it perceives only what is true and whole and unified and sacred and real. And that's what it's going to talk to us about and going to help us see.
Okay.
How? By pointing out that the ego is screwed, is screwing you. You're taking bad advice. You're taking bad investment advice. So we
Okay.
crave this knowledge of reality. We actually really do. And I think we
Mhm.
can admit that, if we're on this path. And the knowledge is actually here. It's always been here. 2 plus 2 has always equaled 4.
Right.
Knowledge is always here. Now, we can run away. 2 plus 2, math or whatever, can frighten us.
Yeah.
You can be scared of math.
Right.
But
A lot of people are.
A lot of people are. So, knowledge is power. Do you see how she got there?
Yes, I think I do. Because knowledge is here. So knowledge is power. So see, this is
But it's not in the world.
Right,
and
right.
It's not a material
and it's
thing.
not my brain.
And it's not your brain, and
Right.
it's not your mind.
right.
It is the active force in the world. God. Who's beating your heart?
Right.
Power.
Knowledge.
Uh-huh. The mind uses knowledge to beat your heart.
Mm-hmm.
This heart is made of a physical thing. It needs electricity
Mm-hmm.
in order to do it. It fires on the there's a cell. There's a group of cells that actually beat. Actually, they don't know why they do, but your heart beats, and they can even locate where the beat starts in your heart, and they don't know why it does that.
That's knowledge. Which is power.
And it's
Wow.
not here.
It's not.
It's not here.
What do you mean here?
It already exists. It doesn't.
Oh,
have
right. It already exists.
Read
right.
the next
Okay.
piece.
Okay.
This is
Well,
fun
is
for me.
funny.
Like getting knowledge,
Uh-huh.
we want power. Own that you want power. Own that you want
Mhm.
knowledge.
Mhm.
Own that your gifts are going to be the way they get there.
Mhm.
Own the fact that you want to know.
Mhm.
Read the next one.
Okay. Truth cannot deal with errors that you want.
I love that.
Snap.
I know.
Because we want some errors.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in our ego selves, like
Uh-huh.
we cherish.
You want too much beer.
Too
much money.
I don't want too much beer, but somebody
You
in
know,
this room might want too much beer.
So we want things that aren't good for us.
Right.
And we even
exactly.
choose things that aren't
Mhm.
good for us, and we know they're not good for us, and we
Mhm.
still do them.
Right.
And we
Exactly.
damage our perception device,
Exactly. Yeah.
our minds, our bodies.
Okay. Now, I love this paragraph. Okay. Only your misperceptions stand in your way.
Snap.
Without them, your choice is certain. Sane perception induces sane choosing. I cannot choose for you, but I can help you make your own right choice. And then she quotes, many are called, but few are chosen. Should be, all are called, but few choose to listen. That is so true. And it really clarifies that
Uh-huh.
phrase. Okay. All
Therefore.
are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. Right minds can do this now, and they will find rest unto their souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. God knows you only in peace, and this peace is your reality.
Well, because God only deals with what's real,
Right.
And you and us and our drama
Yeah.
and
That's
our,
not real. Yeah.
none
It's
of
a
this.
miscreation.
Yeah, it's miscreation.
Mhm.
It's just a reflection. These are symbols.
Mm-hmm.
We're symbols. These are symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Miscreation is not actually real,
Mm-hmm.
right? We want to deceive ourselves.
Mhm.
Part of us does not want to know who we are.
Right.
We're afraid of that knowledge, and part of us doesn't really want to know what the real world is. And
Mhm.
part of us, really, really, really wants our errors to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Conspiracy theories are like this. We really, really, really want it to be true.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So some errors we do want to be true, but if we sit with that and we go, no, okay, really, even if it hurts my feelings, I really do want you to tell me I have spinach in my teeth. If something's really going on, I would really rather know the truth
Mm-hmm.
than to suffer in the error, especially if you can give me
Mm-hmm.
the truth and help me out of a tough situation.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
we do want to know,
Mm-hmm.
and we will find rest. It takes an action on our part. I would say it takes forgiveness. It takes the willingness to make mistakes. It takes the willingness it takes vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the willingness to come out of the closet and say, this is who I am and this is what I like, and I'm afraid you're not going to like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does take that.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, like we just had a good laugh there at reinterpreting the Bible, but
Uh-huh.
remember that all are called. In fact, the Holy Spirit's doing that all the time. She's like going, over here,
Mm-hmm.
follow me. Your happiness is this way. Our happiness is this way. Let's do this.
Uh-huh.
All are called, but few listen. So, are we listening to what is real? Are we listening? Now, in the clarification of terms in ego, in mind spirit, she calls spirit. The metaphor she uses for spirit is you as a child, us as a child, sitting on the lap of our mother, and our mother is singing to us. That's the metaphor she gives in clarification of terms for the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is our mom. That unconditional mother's love, and she's got us on her lap, and she's soothing us and saying, you're gonna be, this is gonna be great. You're gonna have a great life. We're gonna do this together, and it's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's really sweet.
And here's your daily reminder that you are at church with a two-drink minimum. And I'm your favorite anarchist preacher, Glenn Morton Yanaway.
Yes, you
We're
are.
so glad that you are here.
Hey, human!
So listen up.
Please do, because I have a wonderful song to share right now. And it's called I Love Myself. I know. And I'm going to show you this really wonderful video that Glenn filmed on his phone with us just having a really great time in Manhattan. You know, just singing and relishing these lyrics. I love myself. My life feels good. I can have what I want. Opportunity finds me. I create what I need. I'm open to suggestions. I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows through me. I prosper. You prosper. We prosper. All right.
And it's got a great beat and you can dance to it.
All right, here we go.
Feels good, and I can have what I want, and I want joy, and I want peace. I love myself, I forgive myself. Life feels good, and I can have what I want, and I want joy, and I want peace. Opportunity finds me, I create what I need. I'm open to suggestions, I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows through me, and I prosper. I prosper. I prosper. I prosper because I love myself. I forgive myself. My life feels good, and I can have what I want, and I want joy, and I want peace. I love myself. Myself, my life feels good, opportunity finds me, I create what I need. I'm open to suggestions, I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows through me, and I prosper. You prosper. We prosper. I prosper because I love myself. I forgive myself, and my life feels good, and I can have what I want, and I want joy, and I want peace, and I can have what I want.
Yay! Thank you for being here.
Exactly. What a great way to end the day. Thanks for being here. We love you.
Stay tuned for Jackie.
Stay tuned for Jacqueline next, and we'll see you next week live.
5 o'clock.
Yay!